Hunter, we've had a dangerous monster sighting.
So no!
What did you say?
Nothing.
Right. Well, this monster is really dangerous. It could destabilize the entire ecosystem.
Zoh Shia!
Will someone get me a hunter who cares?
I care.
I know you do, I just hate puns. Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, for the love of all that is holy, Zoh Shia has arrived in high rank and he is collecting scalps. Hunter after hunter loaded up onto the cart and sent away from him, and with this monster just being generally new, at least in this high rank form, let's talk about Zoh Shia as a monster, any interesting extra details in high rank that either aren't in low rank, or at least are things that most people won't notice in low rank, and of course, with the monster being as tough as it is compared to most fights in the game, we'll spend quite a while on simply how to beat it, how to defeat it, how to deal with its most concerning attacks, how to best use the free damage periods that the arena can offer you, and how to get the highest amount of rewards from each kill as well, so you can craft your equipment relatively quickly and effortlessly. Starting off then, after you've unlocked the initial high rank story hunt, if you want to fight Zoh Shia again, rest in the ruins of Wyvria map for inclemency environment. This isn't a guaranteed spawn, but it is the highest chance at spawning the monster that exists, and when he does pop up, he will have quest rewards equivalent to a tempered arkveld, as it is an 8-star quest, which means maximum rarity artian relics and decorations if they roll as well. That said, because this works on the same functions as the other investigations, I've had a quest pop up with a guaranteed gem, so it's very important to mention that this can happen if you are patient and you rest enough to actually reset this to get it to pop up, as gems are of course the rarest reward, which matters a lot for a fight that is much longer and harder than most others that are currently in wilds. It's also important to note because I don't think we've ever had a final boss as part of the sort of endgame quest system. Like, there were no Zeno or Chara investigations in World and Iceborne, no Anomaly, Geismagorm in Sunbreak or anything like that. Not that that would make any sense lore-wise, of course, but this means that Zoh Shia is actually a farmable monster in Wilds using all of the knowledge that you may have from farming all the other monsters in the game, boosted in the same ways. As far as other ways to maximize your part drops, or at least rarer part drops, make sure to look in the monster field guide to look at the specific part that you are after. The more common ones that players either don't know or find surprising is that the black ember mass is specifically from breaking the fallen wing arms more than anything, which means that the wing arms when they are uncrystallized. The gem is a potential target reward, a potential carve reward, but importantly you have a 7% chance at getting the gem each time you carve the severed tail. So if you really want the gems from this guy, your best bet is to chop off that tail in the third phase when it goes black and becomes uncrystallized, as I don't believe you can chop it off before that point, but you definitely can quite quickly in the third phase. Past this, there are also skills, like we now have the proper luck set bonus from arena armor to give you bonus rewards, but that would mean completing the quest in arena armor, which will definitely slow you down, so I don't think that's all that worth it as a result. However, what you can do is make sure that you eat either a feast or one of the meals at the canteen in the Grand Hub. All of these will give you some sort of reward increasing effect. Kunafa meal will give you general extra target rewards at the end of the quest. Azu's meal will give you a chance at bonus carves from any carvable object. Silled meal gets you bonus rewards when you capture a monster, and Suja meal gives you a chance at extra part rewards when you destroy a wound on a monster. As for which of these you want, it does somewhat depend on the specific parts that you're after, which one is best. The gems, however, are by far the most valuable part drop, and your best chance at gems is to get the Azu's feast for carver meal, which gives you extra chances at carves, and then make sure that you chop off the tail. This can get you as many as 4 carves on the tail alone, depending on your luck, and as many as 8 carves from the monster's corpse itself, which is an absolute ridiculous amount of carves overall if all of them trigger. And as far as the gem drop rate itself, this gives you up to 4 chances at a 7% drop rate, and then up to 8 chances at a 3% drop rate. So if you eat this meal and then cut the tail and then do all the carving, your chances at getting a gem go up significantly for each quest that you run. As for the Ember Mass material, which is the other generally highest required material, these drop as target rewards at the end of the quest from breaking the wing arm 100% or from carving. So first and foremost, make sure you break the wing arms to get lots of this part pretty consistently. Otherwise, if this is your focus, if this one is what you're after, I actually recommend eating the Kunafa meal instead of Azu's, as you have a higher chance of getting the wing arm part from the target rewards than from carving, and Kunafa meal boosts target rewards. On a similar Spoiler note, when posting the quest, if you want extra target rewards in general, use your lucky voucher. I know a lot of people just sort of sit on these for ages, myself included, but you get these whenever you accept your daily login reward, and their specific purpose is to help you with things like generating more zenny, more points, or bonus quest rewards. So if you are actively farming for equipment from a monster like Zoh Shia that has quest timers this long, this is absolutely the prime use of lucky vouchers right now in the game. Now that we've talked about how to sort of maximize your rewards depending on what you're after, which is important as a lot of players, even once they've got it pretty down, are still sitting somewhere between 10 and 15 minute quest timers. But now let's talk about how to bring your quest timer down and your success rate up with tips for the actual fight itself. First, it should be noted that Zoh Shia has 3 main phases. The first is how you find him. He mostly just has wilk-based attacks and physical attacks. The second phase starts when he does his first super attack, changing his head and wing arms into the fallen form, which is the black uncrystallized form, and then blasting out a ton of fire into wilk crystals throughout the arena. Then the third phase is when he loses all crystallization across the entire body, and this is when you see the full fallen form, rather than just the head and the wing arms. And this is how you make the distinction. These phases progress with health loss, so they are your indicator of how well the fight is going. All that said, first things first, pick up slinger ammo in the arena. There are multiple batches of elemental slinger ammo across the room. One of Zoh Shia's main mechanics is that a lot of its attacks will create wilk crystals on the ground. These react to element damage by exploding and expanding its radius essentially, and then Zoh Shia later gains fire and dragon lightning attacks itself to trigger these crystals and hurt you. A lot of the scarier moments and the nastier overlaps in this fight are simply because you ended up next to a wilk crystal when an elemental attack was coming in. The thing is, elemental slinger ammo will trigger these crystals early, and so there's an aspect of space management in this fight in general. Whereas wilk crystals are created, you want to break the ones that are most likely to get in your way to actually result in harming you, and you do this by shooting them with the elemental slinger ammo. Oftentimes these spawn close enough to each other to even chain their explosions back to back and blow up multiple of them for the cost of 1 ammo, which makes it quite easy to clear out a group of them, and a very potent bonus effect of this is if any of these explosions hits Zoh Shia, it will take a decent chunk of damage, ranging from around 190 for a dragon wilk explosion up to the mid 200s for a thunder wilk explosion. So especially with them chain exploding next to each other, you can get a quick 1000 damage out of nowhere on the monster just by firing a single slinger pod at the right time in the right place, which again also makes it easier to survive because it's less spots for Zoh Shia's own elemental attacks to chain to and extend and try and hurt you. That said, make sure that you always keep at least 1 bit of elemental slinger ammo in your back pocket, and this is because of the sort of super attack of the fight. He does this once guaranteed at the start of the second phase, which is when his head and arms become fallen mode, which is the non-crystallized black form, and he will specifically run to position himself at his spawn in the back middle of the arena. Then he will make a bunch of wilk crystals all over the place, then he'll start blasting fire out, which chains from the wilk crystals to more wilk crystals all the way towards the end of the room. A lot of players, even now, don't know how you're supposed to deal with this because it just sort of kills you. But there are 4 different main ways that you can. The first way is to fire some elemental slinger ammo at one of the wilk crystals near the back before he starts shooting fire. If you do this, the fire won't extend into the patch where that wilk crystal used to be, so you essentially make a safe spot for yourself where you can stand. A second option is to just run to the very edge of the arena, as even with full wilk extensions, if you don't break any of the crystals, there will still be a safe zone right around the edge of the arena. The third is to stand at the monster's tail, as no wilk is created behind the monster during this, so the fire has super short range from behind. But this only applies to if he's doing this attack again later in the fight, because the first scripted one that he does, where he does in that one specific spot, there's not actually enough space to stand behind him. This default position, the first blast, is just too close to the wall to safely stand there. But it's still worth knowing about for further uses if it happens later in the fight. The fourth way is to, well, just go back to camp. You could use a Farcaster, but for whatever reason, despite Farcasters existing in Monster Hunter Wilds, you can, at any time in any monster fight, as far as I'm aware, open your map and then fast travel to the camp, even in combat, and that does include during this attack as well. So if everything else has gone to crap, you have no ammo, you're stuck an inch from the face, the tail is against a wall, you can still survive this consistently by just noping out of there to the camp. Yes, it does feel a bit cheap, but hey, I'm just giving you the knowledge. Whether you want to use it or not is entirely up to you. That said, the concept of just managing the wilk crystals in the room somewhat will make the entire fight easier, to the point that it loses a lot of the actual threat. Generally speaking, speaking, any fire attacks, which are clear before they launch due to fire in the monster's mouth, will always expand out circularly from their point of impact. There'll be fireballs, which explode on impact, or it'll fire straight down under it for a massive circular blast, or even the big super attack is fire and it spreads out circularly from Zoh Shia itself. Knowing the shape of the patterns makes them easier to consistently avoid, and usually if Zoh Shia is targeting fire at you, if you sheathe and sprint horizontally away, you will make it out of the radius of the attack. As for the dragon lightning attacks, these will always telegraph on the floor before striking, and you'll see a sort of animation on the monster too, of course. Most often, these lightning attacks will be a horizontal line, so you want to dodge towards or away from the monster rather than sideways. But sometimes they will be small circles instead, in which case dodge any direction and just get out of the radius as quickly as you can. So generally speaking, for lightning, always go forwards or backwards because it will apply to both types of lightning shapes. As for the more standard just wilky attacks earlier on, just pay attention to the ground. If it starts to glow white, you don't want to be standing there. Pretty much as simple as that, because it means an aftershock is about to go off. As far as damaging the monster, the wing arms, when uncrystallized, generally are the most susceptible part of the monster. The most damageable part of the monster, even more so than the head when uncrystallized, but they are harder to reach. So when the monster is downed in phase 2 and beyond, it's generally best to attack the wing arms for pure damage, except for ranged weapons, as ranged damage is slightly better on the head than wing arms. Obviously, if you're a blunt weapon looking for a stun, or if you want specific part breaks, this doesn't apply so much, but for pure damage, once it goes uncrystallized, focus on the wing arms. As well, breaking either wing arm or breaking either one of the actual foreleg parts seems to cause a full knockdown on the monster, unless the monster's already on the ground, of course. So these are very solid part breaks to aim for, even for pure hunt efficiency. Aside from that, the tail is only really properly damageable and cuttable in the third phase, so if you want the tail cut, that's when you have to go for it. As far as element, it is weakest to dragon element, specifically on the head and wing arms when uncrystallized, when they're in their fallen form. For statuses, it is a standard 2-star weakness to blast, poison, paralysis, and sleep, but only 1 star to stun, and you cannot exhaust it because it's a construct, a guardian, but even if it wasn't, it would probably be counted as an elder dragon, which means that you wouldn't be able to use exhaust on it anyways. It's also worth noting that you could actually justify using Zoh Shia weapons against Zoh Shia, more so than in most other encounters, because this is the longest quest timer in the game, and the longer that a quest timer goes, the more value you get from the Zoh Shia weapon skill, which makes them uniquely better at fighting Zoh Shia than anything else. Aside from this, there is also some pretty hefty environmental help in this room in the form of 2 hanging pillars, if you look up on either side of the arena. These deal a large chunk of health % damage to the monster, so they're absolutely worth using in your fight. If you want the smoothest possible experience, I recommend saving these pillars to drop and using them during the third phase, when the monster is fully uncrystallized, as that is by far both when the monster itself is the most dangerous and the most susceptible to damage due to losing all the crystallization, so it has much higher hit zones. And on top of doing the big chunk of damage itself, which the pillars will do, they also force a knockdown when they hit, so you can get some time to deal free damage. This is worth more in this phase, of course, because you can focus on like the uncrystallized wing arms as well. That just about does it for today, and everyone. All the tips and tricks that I've got for you to maximize your success rate, lower your hunt timers, and maximize the actual rewards that you get from fighting high-rank Zoh Shia as well. Hopefully some of this stuff helps you out and gets you that much closer to this beautiful set of equipment. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.